So, thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that little intro with the music. We are so excited to have you here with us. This is the Ace and Company virtual launch. It's our very first launch. And before we start, I just want to continue with the house rules, which was throughout this whole event, please mute your camera and mute your mic, sorry, and turn off your camera. You'll have an opportunity to turn on your mic and when it's time for Q&A, okay? So before we begin, let's start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land we are meeting is of traditional territory of many nations, including Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and now is home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. We acknowledge that Toronto is covered by the Treaty 13 with Mississaugas of the Credit. Thank you so much for joining today. We want to get to know some of you. So in your chat functions, so you'll see beside your camera, there's a list of things you can do. There's a bubble in that's your chat. We want you to put in the chat, where are you from? So we know that we have a lot of people from across the US of A, and including Dubai, and including some other international places. So let's find out where you are from. Just put in the chat, where are you watching from? So Ace & Co. is not just a recruiting firm. We are more than that. We are helping people understand, helping women find successful careers in STEAM. Okay, so I see we have greetings from Atlanta, Pickering, Ontario, Toronto, Mississauga. Please turn off your camera and your mic. Mute your mic. Thank you. Hello from Milton. It's right. Can you see all these people where they're coming from? Brampton, and West London, Scarborough. This is awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. This is so exciting. Hi from Burlington. Oh, wow. This is really wonderful. Thank you, all of you, for chiming into the chat. Someone said they moved to West Lothian, Scotland. Thank you. Originally from Brampton. Thank you for joining from all that way. I wonder what time is it over there. That is crazy. Oh, there's so much more coming in. Hi, Monique from Mississauga. So great to have you. Rochester, New York. Oh, that's awesome. Santa from Toronto. Oh, this is so wonderful. Zaraya, all of these people are chiming in today because they want to know about Ace & Co. They want to know about you. They want to know about STEAM. And I'm sure they want to hear from our guest speaker too, which is really great. Let's see here. Yeah. All right. Thank you again, everyone. So as I was saying, Ace & Co. is more than a recruitment firm. We want to help women find successful careers in science, technology, engineering, and math, but also wanting to help them be successful in life, period. As you know, it takes a lot, especially when you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. You know, we spend so many hours a day on our jobs. Why not enjoy the work that we do? Right? And sometimes we're trying to figure out, how do we balance that? How do we match our job with what we're passionate about? How do we make sure that we're happy and it's not just, you know, a 9 to 5 or 8 to 4? So Ace & Co. is a social enterprise, and we are dedicated to helping address the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which is the SDGs. Goal number 5 is what we thrive for, which is gender equality. So some of you may not even be familiar with United Nations SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. I challenge you after this to check out the website for United Nations and find out what these SDGs are. These SDGs are there's 17 different goals that have been set by different companies and corporations or organizations from all over the world. And the main thing is, how do we address these goals to make this world a better place? So not just a better place to work at, but a better place to live. So for our focus is gender equality. So part of our proceeds will be going towards what we call ACE scholarships. And this is for young women who want to pursue a career in science, technology, engineering, and math. As you know, we already have, as women, so many challenges when it comes to, so many barriers when it comes to our careers. But finance should not be a barrier for education for young women, especially if they want to pursue science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So the thing is, what you might be asking, well, why STEAM? Why those things? Well, if you don't know, and a lot of people do know, but a lot of these industries are still male dominated, right? So for some girls, we are taught that math is too difficult, is too hard. And for some of us, we're taught that we should go maybe the easy route. Well, ACE wants to encourage people to not always pick the easy route because that won't give you all the options that's available to you. So we want to encourage people, especially women, to fill up those spaces that are supposedly called male dominated. And we have some males here with us today. Thanks for your support, because we can't do that without our male counterpart support. We all have to work together to make sure that gender equality isn't a subject anymore. It's not an expectation. And what we have to teach our girls are that even though that something seems hard, you got to face the challenge, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's one thing. And for Ace & Co, we want to work with independent recruiters, career coaches, corporations, small businesses, and startups, and nonprofits. I've mentioned this before, we feel that we have to work with everyone in order to make this impact and make sure that gender equality isn't a subject anymore. Like that we're all being treated equal, that we're all in spaces because we belong there. And if we're passionate about it, that's where we should be, right?
Yeah.
Right. So we all know how important it is to have our our young girls be able to see themselves in positions where they want to be in the future. So with that, I want to introduce my co-host today, and she will tell you a little bit about herself.
Hi, my name is Zariah. I am also Antoinette Ellis's daughter. And I'm 7 years old, and I'm in grade 2. I may seem young, but young people can do big things. Just like me here today, talking here on an interview. Some people think that young people can't do that, but yes, they can.
Well, thank you very much. So as you can hear from yourself, young people can do big things. And Zariah here has helped me with this launch from the beginning. And so we're very excited to have her as the co-host and co-CEO, I think she likes to call herself as well. So I'm not only the CEO and co-founder of Ace & Co. In June, I'll be a certified integrated arts specialist. So some of you are probably wondering what that is. So you know that some people have this question, STEM versus STEAM. What is the difference? So science, technology, engineering, math versus science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So the thing is that there shouldn't have to be a versus. So I help educators understand how to integrate art into science, technology, engineering, and math. So what some of you may not even know is that art doesn't mean just visual arts. So when you think of arts and STEM, you're probably thinking, oh, like a app design or user designer experience and so forth. But really, it is a lot more than that. Art can be anything. So it can be dance, theater, right? Visual arts, digital arts, and you name it. So everything that's encompassing with arts can be integrated into science, technology, engineering, and math. So I will help educators figure that out and also help them to inspire their students, especially their girl students, to pursue the different STEAM careers. Now, what you may not know is a STEAM career, it varies. There's so many different things that you can be. So you can be an astronaut and even a fashion designer or a sound engineer. Yes, app design. Yes, chemical engineer, you name it. But a lot of people don't understand the vastness of what's available to them. And that's what Ace & Co wants to do. We want to help children, young girls understand what their futures are like, but also help people like you figure out what you want to do with your career. So now I want to take this minute to play a video of our very special guest who was able to integrate her love of art with science and technology. How beautiful and amazing is that? So, Merritt has achieved what some would call the impossible, a career as a professional ballet dancer and as an academic quantum physicist. This is by the University of Oxford. Dr. Merritt Moore graduated with magna cum laude honors in physics from Harvard and graduated with a PhD in atomic and laser physics from the University of Oxford. She also pursues a professional ballet career, previously with the Zurich Ballet, Boston Ballet, English National Ballet, and the Norwegian National Ballet. She was recently awarded Forbes 30 Under 30, and she was one of the 12 selected candidates to undergo a rigorous astronaut selection on BBC Two Astronauts. Do you have what it takes? So everyone, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Moore all the way from Dubai. Dr. Moore, thank you so much.
Hi, this is such a pleasure to join you guys. So exciting.
It is exciting. So what time is it there in Dubai right now?
It's 2 a.m.
Oh, wow, 2 a.m. and you look flawless and have so much energy. Now, are you always like this or is it just because of this launch?
It's just, yes, I'm very excited.
So great. So Zoraya and I have a couple of questions that we want to ask you. And just to get to know you a little bit better and know how were you able to do this awesomeness? So take it away, Zoraya.
Good evening, Dr. Moore. I will be starting with the first question. What is a quantum physicist and when did you know you wanted to be one?
That's a good question. So quantum physicist, it's one of the best jobs ever. So what you do is you get to explore and investigate what happens at a very small.
Okay, I'm not sure if everyone can still hear me or see me. Natalie?
And what you realize is when you're investigating. So sad, my wife, am I back?
Yes, it was frozen for a little bit, but I know
that on quantum.
So if you don't mind starting that over again.
Yeah, no worries. So being a quantum physicist means you get to investigate and explore and understand what happens at a very small level, like what happens with matter and light. And what you discover is that particles can act differently. So what's so bizarre is like my lip gloss can be right here. But when you're looking at particles that are very small, you like this lip gloss can be at two places at one time or neither, and can act like a wave and an object. It's like the most bizarre thing. And the weird thing is that you can see the evidence in the experiments, and it's like mind blowing every single time. And so you get to explore that. And then what's fun is that you're trying to understand that, and then you get to think about new technology using this weird behavior. So like quantum computers and quantum cryptography and quantum teleportation. And you get to think about how are we going to use these bizarre behaviors for new technology for our future.
Wow, that's very interesting. Thank you so much. What subjects should girls take in school if they want to be a quantum physicist?
I think for the future, girls and boys, everyone should really, coding is a huge part of the future. So learning coding, I did not have as much as I would have liked. I did it in college, but I think it's the new language. It's the new language that people are going to speak, and it's the language that you need in order to build everything that we use in computers, robots, etc. So coding is going to be super important, and with that comes math, of course, and science. And I think really it's like also whatever passion you have, as you guys so eloquently spoke about, of like including things like arts and creativity, and those type of fields are going to be super important.
That's awesome. So can I ask everyone to please turn off your camera and mute your microphone? Thank you. Zara, I think you had another question.
Along with what is a quantum physicist, when did you know you wanted to be one?
I knew when I started physics that that's something I wanted to explore, but everyone told me that it was so hard and that it would be like impossible to do. So in my head, I just thought, okay, well, I love it so much. I'm just going to try to stay and do it for as long as I can. And so I did it the first year, and then I did the second year, and the third year, and the fourth, and the fifth, and the sixth, and seventh, eighth, and ninth year. So I just continued year by year, and it was kind of also that freedom of I'm going to do this as long as I really enjoy it. And so I just really enjoyed every moment. But I was kind of exploring and seeing, yeah, is this for me?
That sounds very cool.
So here's a question for you, because you just mentioned first year, second year, all the way to ninth year. So how many years did it take for you to become a quantum physicist, much less the doctor?
Yeah. So I did half a year in high school. So I started in high school. That's when I got introduced to it. My senior year, which was kind of late, but then then I did 4 years in undergrad. And then I did 5 years PhD. And so it was 9 years of,
That's awesome. But I guess when you're passionate about it, those time didn't feel like that time, did it?
No, it goes by. I mean, it goes by really quickly. I mean, some parts go by very, very slowly, like extremely slowly. But then, overall, it goes by really quickly, and you're constantly learning and you're exploring, and every day is different. So that's the fun part.
Wow. And when you were in university, so we hear about all these male-dominated careers, but when you were in university, were there a lot of women that were in your program?
No, I mean, there were often classes where I was the only female in the class. So there are a couple things that I would do. I would like sit in the front of the classroom, because then I could just imagine like that there are many girls behind me and not really realize that actually it's all male. And I didn't really notice, I think that what's nice is there is a lot of support in it, and I think hopefully it's growing. I think there are definitely issues, and that there aren't as many women in science, and I have a lot of complaints about how it's taught. So to all the girls who are listening, and to parents. I think it's just a constant reminder that the way it's taught in the beginning is so incredibly boring, but once you get past that, and hopefully they fix how they teach it so it's not boring, but once you get past that and you're actually in the lab and you're actually doing experiments, there's such a great community. I mean, there would be 20 of us working on our various experiments. People would be playing Disney music, like the guys would be playing Disney music and singing, like it's a party, people up, like there's a lot of talking and helping each other out and community, and it's very creative. It's like thinking about different problems and how you're going to build it and put it together. And so it's very creative. I think there are a couple problems in the way that it's taught. One is all textbooks. Every textbook I had was just written by males. I think the way it's taught is for a specific, not just male mindset, but a specific type of male mindset. Like I think it excludes a lot of other guys as well in the way that it's taught. So it needs to be fixed a little bit. But if you can get through that, it's a lot of fun.
Wow. And that's the thing. We never really thought about, at least I didn't think about the way the textbooks are written or who wrote the textbooks. So we definitely need some women to write some books. So Dr. Moore, would you write a book one day?
I really hope so. I mean, I think I've been brainstorming. It's a big project, but the way that it's taught is so boring. Like we're first taught about ramps and pulleys and like things that we just aren't that interested in. But if at first you could learn about what's happening in research, like what's being built, what are the questions that we're trying to explore, and then working backwards, like that we're trying to build a quantum computer, and to understand that you need to know qubits, which is similar to a bit, which means you need to know quantum harmonic oscillator, which means you need to know harmonic oscillator, which means you need to understand a swing. But like if someone, in the beginning when they were just teaching me the swing, I was like, oh my God, I'm just like not, I just wasn't paying attention. But if someone told me I had to learn the swing in order to learn how to build a quantum computer, I would have been paying totally in avid attention to the freaking about the swing, but they don't tell you the purpose or the why. And so I think there's a lot of, gets me very riled up.
You lost me with some of those words there, but then when you said
it gets a little,
I got it.
swing, yeah, swings are important.
All right, so Soraya, I think you have another question.
Yes. When did you first start doing ballet?
I first started ballet when I was 13, which is quite late in the ballet world. And actually, I did not want to take the ballet class. I was bribed by my mother because she said we had to fix my posture first. She said I had to take ballet for a month, fix my posture, and then I could take karate or whatever sport I wanted to. And I begrudgingly went into the ballet class, and I just really, and then I got swept off my feet. I was like, I love this. I loved the music. I loved the feeling of it. I felt like it was just a very raw, authentic way to express myself, and I got hooked. And my parents did not want me to get hooked. They're like, the month's over. You can quit now.
Once when I was little, I did ballet for a short amount of time, but I really did like it.
Yeah, it's not. And I agree. Like I think that it's something to. I'm really glad that I started later, actually, and I think that if you're first learning dance, one should be put into a much freer environment where you find out how you yourself move to music without anyone telling you what's right or wrong. So
that's great.
Okay, my next question. Which one do you like more, being a quantum physicist or a ballerina?
So when I'm in the lab, I like being a ballerina. When I'm a ballerina, I like being a physicist. Because when I'm in the lab, I'm standing all day and my head hurts, and it's just a lot of like brain power. And all I want to do is move and dance. But then when I'm dancing as a ballerina, my feet are really sore. I've got a lot of blisters. I'm really tired. All I want to do is sit and read a physics book. So both. They both complement each other.
That is so amazing. And how difficult was it for you, or is it for you, I should say, to balance both being a professional ballerina and a quantum physicist?
It's definitely it's a lot of hard work. I would say it's a lot of hard work. But I think the hardest part was the overcoming the doubts. And one is I started dance late, so people said I would never make it as a professional ballet dancer, even if I just pursued that. I started physics late and didn't show like amazing brilliance right away. So was also told probably wouldn't make it in that if I just focused on that. And that definitely by pursuing both, I wouldn't make it. So the hardest part is definitely overcoming the doubts and putting in hard work for hours and years without any outcome and not knowing if it's going to work out, and just still being like, as much as possible enjoying the moment, but also being like, oh, I really want this to work out because I've been working hard at this for years now, and made a lot of sacrifices. So that's the hardest part. And I think, now it's I've done it for over a decade, balancing the two. So there's more of a balance and an understanding and less of those nerves of like, oh, am I doing the wrong thing by staying in the studio longer, or should I be in the lab, or like, am I now like, is it now detrimental? Like, am I now messing up my choice, like the potential to be successful in either by doing both? That was kind of doubts.
I could totally relate. I balance more than one career, and it's a struggle too. But it's the passion, I guess, that keeps us pushing forward to seeing what the outcome would be, right?
Yeah. And every hour of work pays off. I really believe that.
For sure. Zaraya, you think you have another question?
Okay. What are you supposed to do? The robot you danced with, did you build it and why?
Say the first part.
The robot you danced with, did you build it and why?
Ah, great question. So actually that robot has been around and is used in manufacturing. So it's used to help build devices, and big robots of that size are used to like spray paint cars, and it's used in automation and manufacturing. And so, but I was looking at it being like, it kind of has a groove to the way it moves. I think I could be my dance partner. And so, especially during this pandemic, when I couldn't dance with other people, I thought, I think I'll dance with maybe a robot can be my dance partner because it's COVID free.
That makes so much sense. And it's amazing what you've been able to do with that robot. So I want to ask you, how important is it that people should consider or even explore the arts? And do you think that there is a place in art when it comes to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math?
I think it's such an important activity and pursuit, and it is the future. Like if I, was thinking about schooling and education for the next generation, I would say at least 50% should be a creative arts, because at the moment, the future that we're looking at is that Siri and Alexa and computers and AI can answer pretty much any question we give it, right? And that's unfortunately how the education system is run, is you get exams and you're taught to answer questions. Mm-hmm. But like we're using our brain power to answer questions that Siri and Alexa can answer in like 0.2 seconds, right? Like it just makes no sense. But I think for humans, what's going to be super important is our ability to ask very good questions in order to get to great breakthroughs, and our ability to come up with lateral thinking and being super creative in a way that computers can't. So the arts are going to be more essential than ever. And I think I think at least 50% should be dedicated to cultivating creative young minds. And the best way to do that is through fun arts and through passion.
I totally agree with you 100% on that one. So we probably have a lot of people that have just, graduated, or they're in their last year and they're thinking about, what to do when it comes to jobs. So what steps did you take that led you to your first interview for the job that you were hired for as a researcher?
Yeah. Good question. So I took the very risky route. So after my PhD, for me, my second passion is dance, and but that has a very short expiration date. Like in society, your 20s is your prime time to be dancing. But I decided to do my PhD first, and so I then was training hard for dance and doing pickup jobs in order to pursue that, just because I felt like I was afraid I would regret not having given it my all at that time. And fortunately, then got accepted to Norwegian National Ballet, or invited there to perform like La Bayadere and Swan Lake and all these classical works. And then when I was there, I was missing the lab and got access to this robot, which then I was then invited to Harvard Art Lab to pursue research on the movement of the robot. And then the pandemic hit, and then got the robot to London. And so it's been a wild journey, and very unpredictable. And nothing was there was nothing that was like, I was just kind of going with my gut and being like, I believe hard work pays off. Oh my God, I hope it does.
And it is. I've seen you all over, and which is really amazing. People, you could follow Dr. Moore at Physics on Point on her Instagram, on LinkedIn, and just seeing the amazing things that you've been doing. And I believe, Zara, you have one more question.
Yes. Do you have any life advice for girls like me?
Well, you seem like you have a lot of advice that I could learn from you. I love your confidence and spunkiness. This has been so great. So I think one thing that helped me when I was younger was, there were two things. One was, particularly in high school, I think girls in particular, we just have more hormones, and we are just a lot more aware. And so I think there's this desire to be perfect, or to do the good thing, do things well. And I had a teacher who pulled me over and was like, Merritt, stop beating yourself up to be perfect. She's like, perfect is replaceable. And this was a ballet teacher, so she was giving it in context of, when you go to an audition, if you have perfect legs and perfect extension and perfect this and that, you're replaceable with the other girl who's also perfect. She's like, but if you're unique and different, then you're irreplaceable. And that's what's going to get the director's eye, and that's going to help you have a really strong foundation for your future. And I just took that advice for life advice, being like, okay, I'm just going to do it my own quirky way. And we're just going to, that's going to be my strongest foundation, is doing it my own way, that no one can then replace me, or that then it just I bring something else to the table. So tap into what's different and unique about you. And if you have a weird passion, if you're super passionate about something that no one else is passionate about, that's a good thing, then be really passionate about that. And it's better if not other people aren't into it, and then the other good advice was just, I read somewhere in a fiction novel, but it just took it to heart, was nothing's impossible. Possible just takes time. So none of your dreams are impossible. It eliminates that doubt of, is it impossible? It is possible. It's up to you whether or not you want to put in the time and the effort to make it happen. So those were my two things that kind of led me, definitely, in my younger years.
Thank you. That's some very good advice. If any young girls like me are watching, I suggest that you take that advice because I will.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. So now it's on to our next segment, which will be led by our event producer, Natalie.
Thank you, Antoinette. We've now reached the Q&A portion of the session. If you have any questions for Dr. Moore or for Antoinette Ellis, if you look at the top of your screen, you will see some icons. If you'd like to ask a question, you can use the raise your hand icon, and when called upon, please unmute your mic and ask your question. Or if you're a little shy, feel free to type your message here using that bubble in the chat, and we can read them out for you. Do we have any questions?
Ooh, someone said they're making their own website, which is really awesome. So, oh, I see a hand raised.
We have Andrea Harry.
Your mic and ask your question.
Could you unmute your mic?
Sorry about that. The chats were coming up and blocking the button. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So this was such a great interview, and I'm so inspired. And I'm here with my 8-year-old daughter who is too shy to ask the question. But we both wanted to know, just from Dr. Merritt, what is it that she feels like she hasn't achieved yet? And what is she looking forward to sort of in the kind of next stage of her career?
Good question. So I think for me, I've done a lot of what I call training. So I've done, university and PhD and then ballet companies. But I think the next step for me is creating and giving back, or creating and researching. And so right now with the robot, I'm investigating movement. And so it's fun because there's that artistic component, but also kind of there's the purpose of researching and seeing if we can publish papers. And the purpose of investigating robotics and AI is, I believe that's the future in space. And I really want to go to the moon. So that's what I haven't accomplished yet, is to go around the moon. But,
that's awesome. Bailey, do you want to say thank you?
Thank you.
Oh, great to meet you.
Great, and we do have some questions here coming in through the chat. We have quite a few, so we'll try to go back and forth between those who will be speaking. So one from Pamela is, how did the idea of ACE & Co come about? Antoinette, I believe you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. For some reason, my mouse would not go over the mute button. So how did ACE & Co come about? Well, this started with my husband and I. So my husband is the co-founder. He saw a dream that I couldn't even see as yet. So he was really pushing me more to do the public speaking, but I wanted to have more of purpose. And a friend of mine suggested the recruitment firm. And so my husband and I decided, well, we will put together ACE & Co, which will incorporate the speaking part and working with educators, but also working with recruiters to help women find successful careers in STEAM. It took 2 years for us to get from, registering the business to actually launching today. But so we worked many nights and weekends, and with Zoraya's help as well, just trying to piece things together. And here we are. So that's my nutshell answer.
Linda Erskine, if you can unmute your mic and ask your question.
There, I just wanted to say thank you for hosting this. I'm a writer of children's books, and one of the books will be focusing on just this exact topic, inspiring children, especially females, to explore all of the areas of science and technology, math, and include the art as well. I was just wondering, is there anything, any message that I could bring that I haven't really thought of? I have the two characters. One is a boxer, and the other is a Yorkie, and the Yorkie wants to go to the moon. So, what message should I bring to these children through the actions of this Yorkie?
Uh, sorry, that you haven't mentioned. So I'm not sure what you have mentioned, but I can. I think it's a bit of spunkiness, a bit of playful rebelliousness, and obviously curiosity, and yeah, just yearning to kind of push the limits.
That's great. The Yorkie was told that she shouldn't be in the sciences because she's a girl, so she gets resistance from the teachers, and that's so far that's where I've got to.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I mean, it's a. The thing is, it's been the ratio of girls and boys in sciences has been skewed for decades. And what I don't understand is that the conversation has been going on for decades too. So yeah, I think the more that we can talk about it openly, the better.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Good luck with the
Soleil,
book. I'm excited.
Soleil,
Great.
you can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Are there any other cool scientists like quantum physicists?
Oh yeah. There are many, and they're brilliant, and many are professors who are working at universities. Had this very cool. She was a particle physicist, Melissa Franklin at Harvard. She was the first tenured female professor at Harvard, and so she's very, very cool. And just many in my research lab, and who, yeah, they're many, but they tend to be working at universities, and they're working very, very hard. But they're great to talk to.
Great, thank you. We have a message coming in through the chat. The question is from, I believe it's Anu. Did you ever feel any discrimination in your science field?
I think the sad elements of it are, there were certain professors who didn't want females in the lab group because they're worried that it would distract the guys and take away from the science. And what am I going to do with that? So I would just kind of ignore it and then go work, the choice to work and with the professors who didn't have that limited mindset. And so there were certainly those kind of things where you're like, okay, they're so bad, like I can't even start to have this conversation, nor is it, I feel like, is it worth my energy to engage in it? Or maybe it's wrong, maybe I should have made more of a fuss. It was just like, I think there's so much energy you have. And then, I mean, there's certain difficulties where if they're only guy professors and you're working at a lab and they're working and the other male researchers can then have meetings at 3 a.m., 2 a.m. with them because everyone's staying up late. But it's a little bit awkward. You can't, you find that you can't really book hours at that time just because of, what other, like, it's just like not right. And so you're kind of then limited and restricted in the number in when you can meet with the professor and stuff like that. But overall, the guys were quite supportive. Some were a little bit, I think of a limited mindset, but I made a point of joining groups where the professor didn't think that way. And so then the group, he would hire group members who didn't think that way. And the environment was kind of definitely different in each lab group.
Great, thank you. We do have another question in the chat. It's from Sabina. How do you feel like media needs to change representation of women in STEM? I just saw you were in time, and that seems huge.
Oh, thank you. I think well, what I hope to do, at least with these dancings with the robots, is I've done a lot more with social media, just to kind of show that one can be quite creative and it can be fun working with a robot. Like it doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm with a textbook in a library and I do science, like, and I memorize facts. Like I think it can be super creative. And actually, if you want to be artistic and a ballet dancer and working with a robot, like learning about tech is a cool thing and like super creative. So I think social media can just open up people's eyes to the possibilities of how fun STEM can be, and like how it can be, as Ace and Co is showing, like, and how it can be incorporated and how important the arts are in not just focusing on STEM, but focusing on STEAM, that A component of STEM.
Thandi, if you can unmute your mic and ask your question.
My name is Tandy George, and I am starting my own website with my dad and my mom. So, I need some advice because it's my first time making one, and I'm making it for like one big picture, and then you can write stories, design, and build like robots, clean beaches and count your bags, and then help animals and humans, like donating stuff. And I need some advice because it's my first time.
Oh, well, it sounds like you've got, a vision, which is always important. And then I think the next steps, it's blocking off time and hours in the day to just make sure you put time into your dream. I think often we have a dream, but we let the 24 hours go by without even putting in an hour of work towards our dream. So if you have this website, make sure you block off time to keep on working at it, like the little tweaks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, look forward to seeing it.
Great, and we have time for one more question, and this is coming from the chat from Bond. It's for Antoinette. What is the next step for Ace & Co?
So the next steps. So we're very excited. So the next steps you'll see is we're going to be asking people who are looking to pursue a career in STEAM or move around as a professional, or even trying to climb that ladder to become in that executive C-suite, to go on aceandco.ca and send us your resume, send us an email. You'll see there's ACE Recruitment where you can do that. We also want to work with corporations, small startup businesses, anyone that wants to achieve gender equality, especially in their workforce. We want them to work with us. So if you know anyone, any companies that are doing that, refer Ace & Co. That will be another next step. And last but not least, this is going to be the first of many. So they might be pre-recorded interviews, but we are going to interview amazing people like Dr. Moore to share their career expertise. So we definitely want you guys to keep following us on this journey and see the amazing things that we can do.
More question. It's from Jeanette. If you can unmute your mic.
Hi, everyone. I wanted to start off by congratulating Dr. Merritt on all of her successes and accomplishments, and thank you for your time today. And I also wanted to congratulate Antoinette and Zariah and your husband on paving the way, for women in STEM, and especially given in our current environment. This is something that I think we all know that we needed, and it's good to have the awareness, the support, and your influence, of course. And all your work efforts will definitely go unnoticed. Will not go unnoticed. How about that? Um, Seeing Zariah today was a true testament of how successful this business is going to be. And Miss Zariah, you're a CEO in training. So thank you so much for presenting today.
Thanks, Jenny. I think you got cut off, but she was just saying thank you.
To accomplish.
Oh,
sorry, my network just cut out for a second there. So one question for Zariah. Zariah, what do you want to do when you grow up? And for Antoinette, what is the first order of business or goal? I know you just kind of touched upon, your next steps, but what is the one goal you and your husband and Zariah plan on accomplishing with Ace & Co, let's say within the first couple of months?
So first couple of months is to get those contracts in with those businesses that are looking to have gender equality in their workforce. That's our number one. But in order to do that, we have to have talent so that we can show that there is more than enough women that are capable of filling these roles. So I hear a lot of different things. I hear that there's not enough women that are pursuing these careers. And then from the corporation side, I hear that they want to hire more women, but either they don't have the skill sets or they're not applying. So as Ace & Co being that middle, we want to make sure that both ends are talking to each other and that we're working it out. That's in the next couple of months. But the whole purpose and the real force that's driving this is the ACE scholarships. So out of everyone that we do business with, a percentage of those proceeds will go towards ACE scholarships for girls that are pursuing a career in STEAM. So that's most important.
So that was a very good question. My head is full with jobs. Full. I want to be a doctor, DJ, scientist, and most of them I have forgotten because I wanted to be a lot when I was younger. Here, so.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for responding.
Thank you.
Great. So we've now wrapped up the Q&A.
Okay, so thank you so much to our event producers, Natalie and Simone, for managing this event. We couldn't have it this smoothest without you. Dr. Moore, thank you. We've actually crossed over time for you. You're supposed to be done like 15 minutes ago, but thank you so much. As you can see, our audience are so captivated by you and by all the awesome things that you're doing. So thank you so much for joining us. We will let you get some sleep. But with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you, Dr. Moore. So as I mentioned, everyone, it has been 2 years. Bye, Dr. Moore. It's been 2 years that we've been working on this Ace & Co journey, and today's the launch date. I was terrified at first of letting people know. And sometimes we have something in us that we want to do, that we're passionate about, but we're afraid of what other people will say or what other people will think. But I challenge all of you, do not let what other people think stop you from pursuing your dream or your passion. I had to remember my why, and my why is Zariah and my son Isaiah. My why is making